In many parts of my life, I found myself having to deal with pain. And the only solution I found was to try to cut off from it, try to find pills that will work for it, drink not to feel it, and do other things that were meant to make a distance and a barrier between me and the pain. Over the years, I found myself more and more tense, more and more contracted, more and more hard, because I was doing it to my pain. Then also doing it around me because I became like tough. Because that was the idea when I grew up of how you deal with pain, was to be hard, to be colder, to take it, to swallow it, to be able to deal with it. And I found myself actually with a narrower and narrower kind of life from this kind of attitude. There was a moment in my life that the pain was insufferable. And at that time, I found somebody that was teaching the base of breathing, relaxation, a kind of meditation. And I found that if I really managed to shift my attention, instead of my mind that was trying to fix the pain, heal the pain, etc., kill the pain, I was actually trying to become my body at the same time. So over time and with some training, I found that I can have a little bit of influence on the pain. And I found that I'm not doing this influence by pushing against or wanting it gone, but by accepting it, relaxing around it, and letting it be there. Now, this was crude in the beginning. I really didn't know what I was doing, but the fact that I suddenly realized that actually I have some kind of responsibility and power over my pain. I was taught as part of our culture that pain has to be dealt with by experts, doctors, psychologists, healers, whatever is your culture offering, and that the idea is that you will not have pain. Over those years, my pain on one hand really managed to make my life quite a hellish place, but also forced me to think, forced me to look for possibilities, forced me to examine my pain and try as much as I could then to assume responsibility for it. I found out that I am alive, I am in pain, and I now have to find a way to live with that. So parallel to this, at about the age of 20, I started to work with people, and of course the subject was pain. All my clients from the age of about 20 to 30 were coming because of pain, usually chronic pain, intense pain, and a lot of them came with the same kind of intention. Please help me get rid of the pain. The systems and the methods that I learned then to try to deal with pain all approach pain as an unwelcome visitor, and they try to get rid of it. I tried to do that for a while, and I saw that it doesn't really bring results. Actually, the more I push against the pain, the more it goes deeper and over time gets even more intense. So I was starting to think, what can I do with the pain that I witness in my clients that are lying on my table and they come in pain. So I started by doing nothing. I put my hands over the area of the pain. I asked my clients to breathe there, to relax. I did the same. We sat in silence like this, and then I asked them what happened to the pain. To my surprise, doing nothing was giving significantly more results than doing a lot. This understanding that if I do little, but the person does more, started to shift my idea about pain. Because I started to understand that there are two forces here, the pain itself and what we do with the pain. And instead of focusing on the pain as an enemy and trying to get rid of it, I started to think, what are we doing with this pain now? It translated to action. Like my client lies on the table, I touch a painful place. What do? They contract exactly there, trying to avoid the pain. So I looked at this contraction and I said, okay, instead of telling them relax, I asked them to contract even more. And then I noticed that when they contract even more, first of all, they become aware of the fact that the area is contracted, because if they don't do it, they don't feel it, they cannot relax it. So I started to think of pain as something that the part that we control is not the pain itself, but the part that we control is what we do to the pain. And there, if we learn to do something else, not the immediate resistance and contraction, we start to experience something completely different. So I started to ask my clients, contract more, and then relax, and then take a deep breath. And they started to tell me that when they relax, they have a feeling of some energy flow in their body, and their body started to do things. And I started to understand that actually pain is an effort to heal, is an effort that the body does, but we misunderstand it, we fight against it, and then it gets worse. Now, if I manage to teach people to contract where they are contracted, where the pain is, to relax it and to breathe deeply, and then find different ways to touch the pain. So what I learned is, first of all, that pain is a perception. I didn't want to learn the physiology of pain. I didn't want to understand the pain. I didn't want to give it words. But I wanted to know how people are experiencing pain and what is our part that can be controlled and affect the pain. So I started to try to do different things with the pain, like bring it to the surface in an amount that is sufferable. So I would go to somebody with a back pain, press on his back pain till the moment that he doesn't need to contract, and let him just feel it. So what happens is miraculous. I start to touch, and it's painful, but he doesn't have to contract because it's not very painful. And he breathes, and I focus his attention on that area, and my fingers sink. Why? Because I managed to shift his attention to that area and to leave his body alone, to not interfere, to let the place just be. So I started to understand also something in the way we think about pain. It's like we talk about pain, it's like I have pain. It's not I am pain, because I am my experience. So I cannot have pain. It's not something I can carry around and give it to others. I can only experience pain. We say I have pain to already disconnect from it, to already have distance, to already not experience it fully. So the whole thing about pain starts with we want to experience it fully. Now, what's the problem? Pain is painful. I had just a month now of surgery in my gums and implants, etc. I'm getting old, I'm getting implants. So a month of face pain and swelling and all of this. Pain is painful, there is no doubts about it. And what I learned about pain for these last 50 years doesn't make pain less painful. It's not what I achieved. Actually, I think I feel pain even more acutely than other people because I really agree to give it my full attention. So I'm not saying it's a nice experience. I will not send you to have pain, but you're going to meet pain in your life. I know that tomorrow, the day after, there will be a new kind of pain because there are many types of pain. It's a small word of 4 letters, and it is the whole world because we have heart pain and we have intellectual pain when we're talking to people that are really refusing to listen or communicate. We have all kinds of pains. And we do the same with all of them because we have the attitude of not wanting pain. When I was looking for ways to deal with pain, I remembered a few incidents where I could see something that impacted pain. So I remember going to a Gestalt group, it was the beginning of the 70s, and learning that there is a part of me that is controlling, etc., that holds the part that is fragile, etc. And then I had a pain in my right shoulder that is supposed to be the dominant side, and I felt how I smashed my left side that was supposed to be the passive part, the feminine part. And I noticed that when I do this deliberately, that the pain in my shoulder actually is getting much worse, okay? And I was doing it because this was the exercise, and doing it and doing it and doing it, like really, and the focus in that exercise was the left side, but since I had so much pain on the right side, I focused on the right side, and then at once we dropped it. And I breathed, and I had an incredible flow of energy in my arm for a few minutes. Muscles were jumping, the arm was doing this, and the pain was gone. So what I noticed is that if we are actively adding our attention and energy to what we experience, the pain may intensify, but when we release, we get the energy that was invested to flow. And there I started to understand pain as an energy that is either overflowing or stuck, okay? And that we actually have to learn how to allow it to be and let the body deal with it. So basically what I learned is that if I manage to take you, let's say you have pain, into your attention of your body, and I managed to teach you to relax and to breathe and to focus on the pain. And then we systematically go at the pain and see what you're doing not to feel it. And to again agree to feel it and to again agree to feel it. We'll find that we are peeling off a pattern of resisting, refusing pain, that when we do that and we allow the body just to use the pain, pain is actually a way to heal. You go through the pain, you become clearer, stronger, healthier, with not pain as suffering. Because one of the most important lessons I learned is that pain doesn't have to be suffering. Right now I still have pain somewhere here, and I am aware of it, but I'm not suffering from it. It's an awareness, it's an experience, it's not something I have to fight against or not want. So if we change our attitude into, I want to experience this pain, think about loss, somebody you loved, gone, dead, or you lost them on another way, and there is an incredible pain in your heart. The worst mistake is to refuse this pain, because you bury it deeper and you're going to suffer from it for many years to come. The only way to deal with such a pain is to open yourself and agree to feel it. It's true that sometimes it cannot be taken as a whole thing at once, that it has to be broken into many sessions of experiencing it and being able to digest it. Because as I said, pain is energy. You have to allow it to flow in you, and you have to be able to digest it, that it will make you strong. While investigating and researching what is pain, I started to be very attentive to what I do with my pain. So I hurt my toe, and I was really interested, what will I do now? So I noticed that when I walk, first of all, I lock all my leg. From the pelvis down, all my leg is making efforts to walk as if all the leg is hurt and it's only my toe. But the fact that I don't want to feel the pain in my toe made me make incredible effort. All the leg was contracted, and I noticed that I'm trying not to feel the leg, that I do it automatically, walking or moving, but I'm like sucking the energy and the attention away from the leg, leave her alone, that she will deal with the pain because I don't want to be part of it. And I noticed that if I do exactly the opposite, that I deliberately connect, and I deliberately want to feel, and I deliberately move in a way to feel the pain, that the pain transforms into energy and flows. Part of my training as a young man was some martial arts and some other kind of breathing techniques and meditation techniques. When I notice that I contract and stop breathing to pain, I notice that I actually cut away from very powerful abilities that I must involve. So this reaction, which means contraction and not breathing to pain, I exchanged in exactly the opposite. I open up and I breathe fully. Over the years, I noticed that this reaction to pain is universal. Everybody does that. The first moment we lock. Now, this lock is powerful. It aims to be able to function even though we're in pain, that we can stay in life. But this lock, if it stays, disconnects us from the pain. So it may be that at the moment of great pain, to lock like this enables you to walk to the hospital or do something that is necessary to survive, but afterwards, if you keep this lock, the pain stays with you. So I noticed that when I had an accident or I broke my leg, for example, that if I managed to relax into the pain, breathe, manage not to disconnect, because the most important part of dealing with such a pain is to stay there, your attention, because we immediately try to run away. We immediately try to escape into our mind. So I constantly continued to be able to be there. So the pain was moving from very hot to burning, to sharp, to irritating, to itchy, because pain can be millions of experiences. So I started, instead of running away from it, to get really interested in the pain and to send my attention there and find ways to, instead of feeling less, to feel more. What it does is that it accelerates the healing process. The body, when allowed to have pain, heals fantastically well. Being so interested and focused on pain, through my life I started to notice that if I touch somebody, I always touch them where it's painful. It's not conscious, I don't intend to do it, but that it happens. And I noticed that this awareness of pain is not just awareness to my pain, okay? But it's awareness to pain as a phenomenon, as something that is real in the world. And that when I'm aware of the person in front of me and I really give them my full attention, that I can be aware of their pain. Part of the methodology I developed is to train my students in the ability to contain other people's pain. Not to identify with them and not to feel sorry for them, but to be able to be aware of where it is. Because as pain is energy, okay, you can feel where it is in the body. You can feel if it's stuck. You can feel if it can flow. You can then evolve it into touching it and doing with it things that will allow it to flow. So I noticed that this comes for me today as a totally natural ability, that my students are able to learn it. And I wondered how come people forgot that. Because if I think of my cat, for example, if I'm in pain and I hurt myself, I laid in bed and I was in pain, he immediately comes and lies on the place of the pain and starts to purr. His purring immediately relaxes the muscles, his heat warms the place, his love definitely supports the whole thing, and the pain is transforming. Now you can see cats, other animals, have the natural ability to sense pain in somebody that they are paying attention to. For humans it's also natural. But we prefer to think about pain, to try to find solutions, to make a distance between us, because people in pain, it's painful to look at them. Okay? So we are trying not to see the pain of others, which leaves us many times very alone with our pain and not being aware that most of everybody around us is also alone with their pain. So I look at pain as a possibility, as a road actually to become more human, to sense it in others, to be able to contain it in yourself, to be able to find power and happiness. Pain, I think, is my best teacher, because it doesn't forgive you, it doesn't not notice that you're there, it's insisting that you learn till you do. And by this, if you're ready to learn and you're ready to change the way you approach pain, you can turn it into a friend and a power that is positive in your life.